Yo. What's going on, world? Welcome to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News. I am your host, Life Malcolm, and just really want to express my deep and profound appreciation for you joining us this evening. Of course, as is my custom, I got to start off by just expressing my deep gratitude to the In Touch News family, particularly my main man, DJ CEO, who put this platform together, makes this thing all possible, along with Mrs. DJ CEO, a.k.a. Tampa Bay Tammy. And just so grateful that, for all these years, not only have they kept the community informed and entertained, and when I say entertained, man, look, we In Touch News magazine brings a lot to the community. Advertisements. It helps with business in our community. It helps us get to know kind of like the who's who in our community and what have you. But one of the most underrated things in the In Touch News newspaper is them funnies that they have, and they got this segment of jokes. And I don't know who come up with the jokes, man, but the jokes, man. Look, so yeah, but I mean, In Touch News magazine. So I say entertainment, but when I tell you In Touch News, has provided so much for our community. Even comedic relief. I really mean that. They've done it for a very long time. I've been back since 1993. No, 94. So I came back. Okay, so the second time I came back was 1998. And I can't remember a time since 1998 I ain't seen the newspaper. I don't even know when the newspaper started. But I know I can't remember a time that I've been here and have not seen the In Touch News newspaper. Like, that's how long DJ CEO and Mrs. DJ CEO, a.k.a. Tampa Bay Tammy, been doing this thing. And really, like, super grateful to be a part of the In Touch News radio family with the Life Malcolm Show. So I just said all that because I don't know. The comedy thing matters, the laughter. I've been listening to Red Fox lately. I was looking, as a matter of fact, what it was. So tonight on the Life Malcolm Show, we're going to play a whole lot of Malcolm X for you because May 19th, 2 days from now, represents Malcolm X's birthday. It is Malcolm X's birthday. I don't know how that goes, like when you not here, if it's still your birthday or something. I don't know, but like, you know what I mean. Like that day he was born in 1925, a very, very long time ago. Would be, what was that, 1920? That'd be like 100 years. In 3 years, yeah, he'd be like 97 years old had he lived. So, yeah. So, I mean, and we could have benefited from that so much, right? But, of course, we know that the U.S. government cut them down, used some of us to participate in that. But anyway, look, I'm getting off the subject. I'm going to play some Malcolm is the point. But in looking for the Malcolm stuff I wanted to play for us this evening, I ran across some Red Fox. And I don't know about you, man. So I used to, for a long time, I thought, and I listen, I'm in comedy clubs, or have been in comedy clubs since 1994, like actively in comedy clubs. I remember when Bruce started. I remember when Tyler Craig started. When I say started, like I remember before they got on big stages. I used to be in the same hole in the wall club with them when I used to rap. The rappers would open up on Wednesday evenings at this club called 720 right there on might be Ashby and Ralph David Abernathy right there in Atlanta. But it's right there. I could tell you that it was a BP across the street and Kentucky Fried Chicken right there on that same corner. And Putt was right around, Putt spot 720 was right around the corner. Johnny was his name, but everybody called him Putt. And on Wednesday night, Wednesday nights, the rappers would go, and we do our thing. And then after the rappers, then the comics would come up. And back then, I had no idea that I was standing next to people who would become worldwide famous, like Bruce, Tyler Craig, Small Fry, Black Boy, There was another one up in there that got pretty big. Dirty Red. You know, I don't know if he became like worldwide famous, but I mean, you can just probably go to my Facebook page and see. I've been around a lot of comedians. Tommy Davidson. Anyway, I was listening to Funny Red Fox the other day, and so for a long time, even based on my whole what I thought was my, you know, well-rounded appreciation for comedy, we just steeped over the years in number of comics in person, over recordings and stuff. I had made up my mind, like many people, that Richard Pryor was my favorite comedian. I mean, a lot of dope comics out there, and that's not taking anything from anybody out there. I mean, like my favorite contemporary comedian, most likely Dave Chappelle. But like overall, I always thought it was Richard Pryor. And man, I put up this Red Fox, and Red was so quick, so smart, right? Like Red Fox would do these one-liners and stuff, right? He would say something like, "What's the difference between a goldfish and a mountain goat?" And of course, it's the goldfish likes to muck around the fountain. you know, he say, Red say, what's the difference between a pickpocket and a peeping Tom? Well, a pickpocket snatches watches. You got to be old school again. Yeah, and so I was listening, and Red would just find them off like that. This is the last one I'm gonna tell you about Red Fox, and I'm gonna get back to I don't know how I got off on this tangent, but just telling you, I was talking about the funnies in the magazine, and so it got me thinking about funny and how important the comedy in the In Touch News magazine is and fun. But anyway, last Red Fox thing I'm gonna share with you. Red say he talked about words and words having definitions and what have you, and he said that one of the words he defined is frustration. He said frustration is finding out for the first time that you can't do it the second time. Then he said that panic, is in the same group. We said panic is finding out for the second time that you can't do it the first time. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got to be my age to even kind of understand what he's getting at. But so anyway, yeah. And so I don't know, man. I'm teetering. I don't know if Red is my favorite comedian or Rich, but I will tell you this about Richard Pryor, man. This dude, the thing that might edge Red Fox out for me, edge Richard Pryor over Red Fox for me. So edge Red Fox out for me is the fact that Richard told like stories about himself. He bared his personal stuff. He talked about his addictions. He talked about his failed marriages. He talked about his knucklehead children. He talked about his illnesses, when he had the heart attack. I mean, get on the floor, you know what I mean? I mean, just his ability to just talk about himself, and it's like when he went to talk about going to jail because he shot the car, so I think I'm gonna have to ride with Rich, but Red is right there right there neck and neck, and so I just really appreciate the comedic aspect of In Touch News, the newspaper. Now that I think of it. But anyway, thank you so much. And I got to thank the mystery man behind the board, doing this thing, making sure that I sound good, look as good as I can. You can only do so much about that part. And, able to talk to you. And so right now I should tell you that you can call in at 813-444-9588. That's 813-444-9588. And you should call in because we're going to be talking about stuff that you want to talk about, I'm sure. But really, we're going to spend an evening with Malcolm. Like, that's the thing. So I'm going to play some Malcolm stuff that, like, I have, like, this whole Malcolm X collection and so of speeches. And so I put together some quick clips, and I want to go through some of them just so you can hear them, because a lot of people talk about Martin and Malcolm and don't even, not even familiar with the brothers. They heard the "I Have a Dream" speech, and they may have heard the "I've Been to a Mountaintop" speech by Martin Luther King Jr. I doubt that many people have ever heard Malcolm X talk. Most of us who talk about Malcolm X probably haven't heard Malcolm talk, and believe whatever the colonizer says about Malcolm. He was bad. He hated all white people, thought the white people were the devil, was against Martin Luther King Jr. in some kind of antagonistic way, personal kind of way. And so it's going to be good for you and I to get to hear Malcolm speak for himself. And I might throw in my 2 cents here and there just to, kind of help us see how in tune to the social mode of production that that African people, that everybody exists in all around the world, but the relevance of that social mode of production, so in tune to that social mode of production that Malcolm, what he said in 1963, 64, 65 is relevant right here today in 2022. But it's only because the social mode of production has not changed, and Malcolm was hip, even though he didn't define it with such clarity as Chairman Omali Yeshitela has done. But Chairman has had the advantage of 50 years of working this thing. Malcolm, the government shot Malcolm dead when Malcolm was 39. So he didn't have the advantage of developing the sophisticated definition and understanding, or at least the articulation of the social mode of production. To be more specific, the colonial mode of production. That's because it's a social it's not a socialist mode of production. Don't get it confused. But the social mode of production, that is the colonial mode of production under which we live even today. Some 97 years after Malcolm was born, 60-something years after they killed him. We still live in that colonial mode of production. And Malcolm was so in tune with it that the things that he said about the U.S. and the world then are still relevant today, and we're going to chop that up. Before we go to the break, and I know we got to go to the break in about a minute, so that gives me, I think, maybe ample time to say that it's really, I've seen a lot of people die, unfortunately, and had a lot of people close to me die. Been to hundreds of funerals, but it's only 3 people up until now. I've had the experience of listening to them talk about their death when they knew they were about to die. And not too long ago, the other day, a friend of mine called me up, Chris Ramsey, called me up and said, "Bro, I'm in the 4th quarter with 30 seconds left to go." And he needed a heart and couldn't afford just outright afford the transplant, and social economic conditions, his social economic conditions kept him ineligible for the transplant. And I talked to him like Tuesday, it must have been Wednesday of last week, and Saturday my mother called me, told me that they had to rush him to the hospital, and about 30, 40 minutes later, she called me back, told me he died. Courageous African, about 43 years old when he died, man. But he'd been living with that heart failure problem for a minute, but, just kept living life. You okay? You okay? All right. So we're gonna go to a break, and one time for my man Chris Ramsey. We'll talk on the other side, man. We're gonna start off with some Malcolm X when we get back. It's the Life Malcolm Show, y'all. See you on the other side.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here for you.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Hello, I'm Rob Perry with Solar Energy Loan Fund, and we can help you finance your energy needs. If you need a new air conditioner, roof, solar panels, windows, doors, weatherization, having plumbing issues, the Solar and Energy Loan Fund can help you with that. Even if your credit isn't the best, we will be able to help you replace that old air conditioner or get that roof replaced. Again, my name is Rob Perry. I'm with Solar Energy Loan Fund. I can be reached at 727-315-3223. Again, that's 727-315-3223. Looking to hear from you.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show. We had to end rather abruptly, a little quicker than we thought before we went to break. It's because we had some somewhat technical difficulties. I want to say that, though, my man Chris Ramsey was a courageous dude, man. It's, like I said, young dude, and I would say past 6 or 7 years, I've known he's been struggling with this heart thing, like critical, like where he needed a heart transplant or he was gonna die. Like that's been his situation for the past 6, 7 years, and of course like Chris, I remember Chris. Like I'm 47, I said Chris 43 about that. But it's different. Like when you are, like when the person that's 4 years younger than you is 7, and you like 11, 12 years old. 8, 7, about to be 8, and you are, you 12. They look like a little kid to you, And so I remember Chris when he was a little child, and developed a brain tumor, went blind. Went to the same church. His mama know my mama. I know all his sisters, and one of his sisters just died last year. Shout out to Wanda. So like he had brain surgery at like 8, 7, 8, 9, something like that years old, and he came through that. But he told me that the medicine and other stuff he had to do had an effect on his heart, maybe even an effect on his diet and his, eventually his physical, stature, composition. Chris was a big dude, and he got to the point where he, developed congestive heart failure based on all the stuff he'd endured, and but to hear this dude every day, he woke up, it was like staring death in the face, like straight up in the face, and but with tremendous courage, man, just always working to better himself, knowing that his time was short. He was always creating something, thinking something, debating something, and so I just wanted to say those things about Chris. I loved him tremendously, a really, really good friend, really, really good guy. All right, so it's time to jump into some Malcolm, man. Let me see where I want to start with y'all. So I put together, like I said, a few clips. So, okay, all right. So I think what I'm going to do is start with this idea of nationalism. We since the inception of the Life Malcolm Show, right here on In Touch News, we've been talking about nationalism. So let's listen to what our dear brother Malcolm had to say about nationalism.
They're trying to crawl back on the plantation.
I'm gonna start that over for you. I think we had a little bit of difficulty. Hold on, though. Hold on. Here you go. All right.
It's based on land.
Yeah.
A revolutionary wants land so he can set up his own nation. That's right. An independent nation. That's right. These Negroes aren't asking for no nation. They're trying to crawl back on the plantation.
Yeah.
When you want a nation, that's called nationalism.
Yes.
When the white man became involved in the revolution in this country against England, what was it for? He wanted this land so he could set up another white nation. That's white nationalism. The American Revolution was white nationalism. The French Revolution was white nationalism. The Russian Revolution too, yes, it was white nationalism. You don't think so? Why you think Khrushchev and Mao can't get their heads together?
And I want to stop right there, just because, you know, the Russia-Ukraine thing is going on. A lot of people don't understand the historical and current political significance of the struggle. I just want to say that those of us who understand history and the struggle against colonial capitalism and the colonial mode of production, we stand with Russia, because Russia did not come into power, did not emerge as its own nation as a consequence of colonizing African people, stealing indigenous people's lands, making China a drug den. That's not how Russia came to be. As a matter of fact, Chairman Amali Yeshitela teaches that at the time that the entire most of the white world was raping and pillaging and stealing and colonizing the other peoples of the world in order to emerge as the superpowers that they became, Russia was in a struggle against those superpowers. You know, especially around the time of the first imperialist world war, war to divide the world, that people call World War I. You know, and World War II. You know, Russia was like, you know, not us. You know, we not in that. And so the entire white world, you know, who came into power based on the colonial mode of production, had some problems with Russia, because Russia didn't participate in that, and not only that, you know, rebelled against that colonial mode of production in a serious way. And so over the course of time, you've seen the entire, you know, what they call the West, the white world that emerged as superpowers based on the colonial mode of production, you know, fighting against Russia. And so today, this whole idea of Russia versus Ukraine, it still remains that it's the entire white world that emerged from the colonial mode of production and superpowers against Russia. They side with Ukraine, and so it's only intelligent that those of us who are victims, who suffer the most brutal types of oppression and the brutality from the colonial mode of production from that part of the world that is against Russia, it's only intelligent that those of us who suffer like, and not just suffer, but struggle against the colonial mode of production that has us all in this mess, as Russia does, side with Russia. That don't mean that we have to agree with everything that Russia does, everything that Russia says, and you know, it stands for. That's not what it is. That's not what we're saying. That's not what I'm saying. And but what I am saying though is that there's a dividing line. You know, a them against us kind of thing, and you know, Russia was never a part of that. Although Malcolm made the clear point that Russia's struggle wasn't about African people's liberation. It was a demonstration of white nationalism. Let's go back to Malcolm.
White nationalism. All the revolutions that's going on in Asia, in Africa today are based on what? Black nationalism. A revolutionary is a black nationalist. He wants a nation. I was reading some beautiful words by Reverend Clee pointing out why he couldn't get together with someone else here in the city. Because all of them were afraid of being identified with black nationalism. If you're afraid of black nationalism, you're afraid of revolution. And if you love revolution, you love black nationalism.
All right, so yeah, that was Malcolm on nationalism, and there's of course, more to the speech. But like I said, for the purposes of this evening's show, I just cut it up a little bit so that we could, kind of talk about some of the clips. That's why you should call in so we can talk. Oh, the number is 813-444-9588. In case you forgot or in case you're just tuning in, call up and holler at me, man. We talking a little bit about our dear brother Malcolm X, born Malcolm Little, in 1925, in what was it? Omaha? Was it Omaha? Omaha, Nebraska. I think we're born like Omaha, Nebraska, something like that. And to a father who was a nationalist. Malcolm's father was a Garveyite. That's what they called him, a Garveyite, because he followed the teachings of Marcus Garvey. Was part of the UNIA and Marcus Garvey's organization. And another thing that is significant to know about Malcolm is not only was Malcolm's father a significant influence on his life, but his mother was a significant influence on his life as well. I think her name was Louise Little, I believe. But Mrs. Little, was a very smart woman and wanted her children to be smart too. Help them be smart. You saw Malcolm. Malcolm, you ain't never seen Malcolm dumb. Despite his affection for the white man's, stuff early on, before he, that wasn't dumb. That was just trying to survive in the white man's world. But you listen to Malcolm, you can tell he was intelligent. I'm told. As a matter of fact, Chairman O'Malley just did study this past Sunday. Not Sunday. It was maybe, I think, Wednesday. But he talked about how Malcolm's mother studied and knew various languages and what have you, and instilled this kind of importance of learning and knowing and in her children. And they same thing they did back then they do now, right? They called her crazy because of the way she behaved. And white people, let me say it like this. I try not to just say the white people, but because it's some white people who are right when they commit national suicide and come to our side, come to the right side and fight for freedom and justice and for African liberation, and they are right. So it's not just about white people; it's about colonizers. With the colonizers mindset and ambitions and stuff like these people. When I talk about white people, is what I mean if I say it. But they call you crazy if you fight for yourself, right? They call you crazy. That's what they said about Nat Turner, because he didn't want to be an enslaved person no more. He must have been crazy. We talked about it on the show before. There was this white guy named Sam Cartwright who was a physician and Samuel Adolphus Cartwright was a physician, and he came up with these two diseases, diagnoses. Well, he called one of them. I shouldn't say he came up with a disease, but he came up characterized these diagnoses, and one was called drapetomania, and the other was called diaesthesia aethiopica, and they're interesting. When we get back from the break, I'm gonna tell you about them, man. We're gonna talk about them right quick. We're gonna get back to some Malcolm, but it's some interesting stuff, man. So call in. We can talk about it together. 813-444-9588. This is the Life Malcolm Show. I see you on the other side of the break.
Listening to Tampa Bay Tammy
Your girlfriend
on In Touch Radio. In Touch Radio.
My name is Gil Sampson. I didn't come from a very rich family, and so paying for college would have been very tough. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the college that I went to, and then I don't know if I would have gotten into the career that I am in. So I think Bright Futures has done a lot to shape my life. Got a job as a structural engineer, and I design residential buildings, commercial buildings all over the United States. Because of Bright Futures, I was able to go to college. You know, so many kids just don't even ever get that opportunity, and to be able to do it and not have any debt when I graduated is amazing, and it was all thanks to Bright Futures.
Florida has created more than 1 million jobs in only 5 years, and a great education connects our students to these exciting opportunities. That's why the Florida Lottery has funded Bright Futures scholarships to help over 725,000 students attend college. Because every play is for education. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661. By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here for you.
Yo. What's up, world? Appreciate you tuning in to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News. I didn't say this part also, where everybody is a star, and the biggest star is you. You know, that's what's up, man. I like saying that because you are a star, especially when you call in 813-444-9588. Now, if you don't want to talk about Malcolm because you just want to listen to me talk about Malcolm and listen to Malcolm speak for itself, I understand. You can leave comments in the box. You can check us out on the YouTube channel, the In Touch News YouTube channel, and on Facebook, you can check us out on the In Touch News page on Facebook, right? So,
Malcolm. I mean, Life.
Life Malcolm.
Well, I was right.
Yeah,
Malcolm.
Right. Yeah, right on.
When you say you were bringing him on, I was like, okay. And you said you had a collection. So I'm going to assume that your collection is 33 1/3 albums.
Actually, they used to be, but I convert. No, that's not true. I used to have a 33 1/3 album.
Okay.
But my collection came from cassette tapes. Because I lived in Atlanta for a while. And you know, Atlanta was
you could get them anywhere
in 94,
yes.
95, like brothers everywhere. You know, because brothers was coming from New York, Philly,
yeah,
whatever.
They were selling the tapes.
They had you know. So I have a friend though who has the albums.
Okay.
Yeah, I had one album, and I might still have it, but mostly I have cassette tapes that brothers burn. I have 3 commercial tapes like that you could go to the store and get.
I just think it's important.
But I have like 5 tapes that you can't get from that. I've never seen them in a store.
It's important. I'm so glad you brought Malcolm on because it's important for people to really hear his voice, and hear his thoughts. You know, not from the movie, but from his actual words.
Yeah, the movie was bad.
Well, you know, look, it was entertaining.
But I would tell you this though, I owed the movie my life because it was the movie. Seeing that portrayal of Malcolm made me want to know more about Malcolm. And so I went and got Malcolm's autobiography, and I think it was a terrible book. You know, but the thing that was good about the book is it turned me on to people like Dr. Clark, John Henrik Clark, and others. It made me want to read more stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I was in the Naval Academy prep school. I was a good white boy. I was like this, man. You know, I was a better white boy than all the white boys in the Navy. You understand? At that time, and like listening to Malcolm, and like I said. Malcolm's father was a Garveyite. They called me a Garveyite. They told me I had psychological issues because I went to the Naval. I told the story before. I went to the Naval Academy prep school because I was a good athlete, but I wasn't. I was 17, and the Naval Academy did not have a red shirt year. So I had an appointment to the Naval Academy. Could have went straight to Annapolis, but I didn't go straight to Annapolis because I wanted to do like another year to get bigger, stronger, faster, and so I could start. And so I chose to go to the Naval Academy prep school where most people who go, especially recruited athletes, go because they are academically deficient somehow. And so in that prep school, you had to cut the mustard academically in order to get on to the to Annapolis. And a lot of these brothers who had lived their entire life, I ain't never heard of the Naval Academy. I thought when they said the Army and the Navy, when they said it was an Army Navy football game, I thought it was like people from the Army and the Navy, like the soldiers and the sailors come in and play football. That's how oblivious I was to whatever the Army and Navy, the Naval Academy. Never heard of it, right? And so, but there were people. On that base who had lived their whole life to become an officer in the Navy, and so and they couldn't cut the mustard in high school, and now they have this shot through this Naval Academy prep school to get their academics up to par so they can get into the Naval Academy, but they're failing. And they're coming to me, Africans, coming to me talking about killing themselves because they can't get the grade to be, they're going to disappoint their mother, their family, whatever. And so I saw the Malcolm X movie, and I saw what Malcolm did. I was like, and I started reading the book, like, I got to do something for my people. So what I did was organize some Africans who I knew, this African good in math, because I'm in these classes, right? So I know who got the A in math, who has the A in science, who has the A in history, who has the, the A in, English, or whatever. And so I put us all together to do this study group to help these Africans who are failing and, contemplating killing themselves, whatever, dropping out, to save themselves, embarrassment of being kicked out, and I started recruiting Africans to come to the thing. And so now we all in the library, all these Africans. And so on a Saturday when we had what they called Liberty, we had Liberty for the weekend, from 6 o'clock Friday evening to Sunday evening or something like that. And so so I organized a study, like a study hall, like a tutoring session for Africans that Saturday morning in the library. And this white man, Major Toynbee, I can't remember his first name, last name Toynbee. And he walked in this library and said, "You in my office right now." And he tells me that somebody done told him that I done recruited a bunch of black people to do this study organization, and I'm racist and this and that. And, then he made me go to see the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist called me a Garveyite. But anyway, and I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know what that meant at the time, right? Because I hadn't, even though I had seen Marcus Garvey's name in the autobiography by that time, I didn't understand the term Garveyite because I never heard of it. And
so let me ask you, was there something wrong with you being a Garveyite? In the military?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What was it?
The thing that was wrong with me being a Garveyite in the military is that the military has one objective, and that's to maintain the current colonial mode of production. And the Garveyite's objective is to overturn the colonial mode of production. And so they couldn't, the two could not abide in the same house. And at the time, I did not realize how I could finesse that whole thing. Like I'm a Garveyite right now.
Right now.
You know, and and I'm in a place that they just can't readily kick me out. They got to go through some things to kick me out. And I know a lot more than I knew when I was 17 years old and let them kick me out. You know, if I knew a little more, I was just like, back then I was like, fight the power. You want me out? You know, the hell with y'all. You know, I was ready to go. I ain't even fight. I could have fought it. Probably should have fought it. You know, got all their bread and whatever. But I'm just saying, I was 17. But they tried to make me think I was crazy because I'm a Garveyite. That's the same thing they do to so many young Africans, you know, and mothers like Malcolm's mother. That's how I got on this, you know, talking about Mrs. Little. You know, they made her think she was crazy because she didn't, you know, link up and fit into the, you know, the colonial, way of doing things. And that's how they do our children, you know, because they a little more excited because they don't pay attention to the stuff they call history, the mythology that they pass off as history, because we don't pay attention to it, because we don't read the white books of Mice and Men, Huckleberry Finn, because that don't keep our attention. And we, you know, now we have the ADD, the ADHD, and all this stuff. And now they put these experimental drugs on us, you know. And next thing you know, Africans walking around doing stuff that no intelligent African would do. I mean, not really. Most unintelligent Africans wouldn't do some of the stuff that these Africans who have been victims of these experimental drugs do. You know, just on the corner, not taking care of yourself. They ain't got nothing to do with intelligence. That's this debilitating drug. Then, you know, you get a little check, and so it tells you don't go get a job or try to do anything better for you. It's crazy, right? But they call you crazy because you don't want to do, you don't want to be a slave. Oh, like I was saying before the break, Dysesthesia aethiopica was Sam Cartwright's diagnosis of an African who didn't want to, an enslaved African who didn't want to work. He say for the slave master, he said if you don't want to work, you got a disease called Dysesthesia aethiopica, and the way you cure it was to lather his back with because it's a tough skin disease, and so you got to lather his back with warm water and then beat him with a strap, and after you beat him, then he'll want to work. And he had this disease.
Oh my God!
It's real. Look
tough skin disease.
Yeah, it's a tough skin disease. So you got to tenderize his skin.
Oh,
you got to lather his skin with the hot soap, and then when you beat him with the strap, then you tender the skin, and then now he want to
work.
Then he want to work.
Oh, okay.
And then he say he got drapetomania, DRAPETOMANIA, drapetomania.
What's that?
Say you crazy if you run from the slave master. Yeah, if you run, then that's a disease. Running from running from slavery.
Running from oppression is a disease.
Yes, it's drapetomania by Sam Cartwright. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
look that up.
Yeah, I gotta look that one up.
Oh, that's 100%. You know, I want to tell you that wasn't true.
Now, who was Sam? Who was he?
Samuel Adolphus Cartwright was a medical doctor in the 1800s.
In the 1800s.
Late 1800s.
Wow.
A medical doctor.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this was his medical diagnosis, and I'm saying that's the same thing as what they do to us with ADHD. Same
Right.
thing they did to to Mrs. Little, say because she don't want to do.
And did she ultimately go crazy?
No, they called her crazy,
Okay.
and they put her in a crazy house.
That
Yeah.
I read something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. She ain't go crazy. They called her crazy.
Crazy.
As
And
far as
put-
they concerned, I
yeah.
done went crazy.
Right.
Because I'm talking about this right now. I'm
Right,
crazy.
right,
To
right.
them.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So, all right, I know we're going to have to go to a break, but
We're gonna push through the break.
we're going to push through the break. All right, cool. I appreciate that. So, all right, here we go. Here we go. We finna go to House Negro and Field Negro. Y'all ready? This going to talk a little bit about that crazy.
Young brother here referred to as the house Negro and the field Negro back during slavery. There was two kinds of slaves. There was the house Negro and the field Negro. The house Negro, they lived in the house with master. They dressed pretty good. They ate good because they ate his food, what he left. They lived in the attic or the basement, but still they lived near their master. And they loved their master more than the master loved himself. They would give their life to save their master's house quicker than the master would. The house Negro, if the master said, we got a good house here, the house Negro say, yeah, we got a good house here. Whenever the master said we, he said we. That's how you can tell a house Negro. If the master's house caught on fire, the house Negro would fight harder to put the blaze out than the master would. If the master got sick, the house Negro would say, what's the matter, boss? We sick. We sick. We sick. We sick.
Yeah.
He identified himself with his master more than his master identified with himself. And if you came to the house Negro and said, let's run away, let's escape, let's separate, that house Negro would look at you and say, man, you crazy. What you mean separate? Where is there a better house than this? Where can I wear better clothes than this? Where can I eat better food than this? That was that house Negro. In those days, he was called a house nigger. And that's what we call him today, because we still got some house niggers running around here.
Yeah. And I can name some of them too. But I ain't trying to give no shout out.
This modern house Negro loves his master.
Yeah.
He wants to live near him.
Yeah.
He'll pay 3 times as much as the house is worth just to live near his master.
Yeah.
And then brag about, I'm the only Negro out here.
Yeah. Yeah, let me tell you this right here. I know people like that right there who would do that. I mean, I'm talking about right now struggling to be out there with them peoples. And all I can tell you is I've been in the same place for 20 years, and I ain't got no mortgage. And so, like, you can say, well, your son got shot in your front yard. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, but, you know, hell, Ennis Cosby got shot somewhere in the rich part of California, too. So that ain't the because I stay with us ain't the reason why young life was murdered in my front yard. It's because we ain't done something about the violence and the banditry that goes on in our community is the reason. But the reality is we we supposed to want to stay with us, not go out there and get with them. You know, that's, you know, because that's, yeah, I'll let Malcolm talk about it. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm the only one on my job.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in this school. You're nothing but a house Negro. And if someone come to you right now and say, let's separate,
where we gonna go?
You say the same thing that the house Negro said on the plantation. What you mean separate?
Nowadays,
from America?
We need diversity.
This good white man? Where you gonna get a better job than you get here?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you say. I ain't left nothing in Africa. That's what you say. While you left your mind in Africa.
So if you can break down the field and get there.
On that same plantation, there was the field Negro.
Yeah.
The field Negro, those were the masses. Yeah. There was always more Negroes in the field than there was Negroes in the house.
Yes. We ain't the minority, we the
Negro
majority.
in the field caught hell.
All around the world.
He ate leftovers.
Yeah.
In the house, they ate high up on the hull.
What he left.
The Negro in the field didn't get nothing but what was left of the insides of the hull. They call them chitlins nowadays. In those days, they call them what they were.
Guts.
Guts. That's what you were, a gut eater.
Yeah.
And some of you all still gut eaters.
Although you got the high blood pressure, the diabetes, it don't run in your family, it run at the kitchen table. Come on, man, I'm telling you, man. Seeing this stuff.
The field Negro was beaten from morning till night.
Yeah.
He lived in a shack, in a hut.
What was
He wore cast-off clothes. And he hated his master. I say he hated his master. He was intelligent.
Yes.
That house Negro loved his master. But that field Negro, remember, they were in the majority.
Yes.
And they hated the master.
Yes.
When the house caught on fire, he didn't try and put it out. That field Negro prayed for a wind. For a breeze.
Yeah. Make the fire hot.
When the master got sick, the field Negro prayed that he died.
Yeah. They call
If
you a
someone
dog,
come to the field Negro and said, let's separate, let's run, he didn't say, where are we going? He said, any place is better than here. You got field Negroes in America today. Yeah. I'm a field Negro. The masses are the field Negroes. Yeah. When they see this man's house on fire, you don't hear these little Negroes talking about our government is in trouble. They say the government is in trouble.
After you say this about the astronaut plan.
Imagine a Negro, our government. I even heard one say our astronauts. They won't even let him near the plant. And our astronauts, our Navy, that's a Negro that's out of his mind.
Stop right.
That's a Negro.
Yeah, that's out of your mind. You want to talk about crazy? You crazy if you believe that it's our astronauts and our Navy and you some kind of citizen. I listened to a radio show and somebody called in and was like, yo, they talking about the dude in, where was the shooting? Boston? The shooting thing?
Baltimore.
All right, yeah. So he was like, what did he say? Oh, it must be a code word or something, because like the white people don't never get killed, so it must be a code word to keep them from getting killed when they do something like that. And no, it's not. It ain't no code word. The reality is the domestic military, known as the police, most commonly called the police, know when the description says black, that means colonized subject. We the ones who out of our minds who think we in the house trying to be the house girls, but no, black means colonized subject, and they come in acting like colonizers who need to do the most vicious, brutal types of stuff to the colonized population to keep the colonized in check. They don't show up like that for the colonizer.
Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, Buffalo. What I said, Buffalo, B-Lo. Yeah, Buffalo. All right, I appreciate that. All right, so let me hit y'all right with this right here. All right, this is how we got to do.
The Quran, as you call it, Quran, teaches us to suffer peacefully. Our religion teaches us to be intelligent, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hand on you, send them to the cemetery.
You see America, with that same kind of response. That's why you have the death penalty. That's why you have the domestic army come in hot blazing. But Malcolm, I said it before and I say it again. And I remember the disclaimer. This ain't got nothing to do with In Touch. This is me saying this because I say it on my Facebook and on my Instagram. I'm just saying what I say there. And because I understand. The reason why I know this is because I've been listening to this for 20, 30 years. A little less than about 28 years I've been listening to this, right? Since 94, whatever that is. And the only way to stop the bandits is the only way to stop the violence. That's what I say. The only way to stop the violence And when I say that, I mean violence perpetrated by bandits with badges or bandits without badges. The only way to stop the violence is to kill the bandits. And that's what Malcolm's saying right here. If they put their hands on you, send them to the cemetery. That's what Fanon said. You know, the way to get rid of the slave is to kill the enslaved, the slave master. If you ain't got no more slave master, you ain't got no more slaves.
So you're saying that Malcolm's words are relevant today.
100%. Malcolm had the solution, not because he was some kind of Negro Damas, like, you know, they got that white man called Nostradamus. Not like Malcolm was a Negro Damas. It's just that Malcolm, even though he didn't articulate it the same way as Chairman Omali Yeshitela does, he understood that the world revolves around the colonial mode of production. And if this white boy that they say had some kind of concerns about being replaced, like, you know, there's this idea amongst white people about the replacement theory, where Africans and colonized people around the world absolutely are going to replace white people. That's our objective. The slave has to replace the slave master or forever remain a slave. And so,
So the replacement theory is real.
100% real, and they've known it for a long time.
Okay.
That's why they don't want these abortions. That's what they doing. Because they want these white women to keep having white babies. You know,
But the replacement theory is not anything that we instituted.
When you say we, you talking about African people?
I'm talking about African
Hell
people.
no.
Right.
Hell no.
So really, the replacement theory is something that they came up with, in my mind, because of their fear of diminishing returns. They ain't having babies. They're not reproducing as much as brown people. I'm gonna say brown people, and so they are afraid that they are being replaced by our increase or by their decrease, and that's therefore they came up with the replacement theory. But it's nothing that, even though we probably should have been smart enough to do it, we did not come up with that theory as a people.
Yeah, but I'm saying no, not at all. It's the natural reality, like it's the social reality, because it's not just like physical replacement, you know, because we African people are the majority, you know, dark people, brown people are the majority worldwide anyway. So, but the thing is,
we don't know that. We don't know that.
I don't know how. I mean, look at Africa.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
as a people, we don't know that.
Well, we should.
We should.
But the reality is, man, what also is being replaced is the white way of thinking. You know, the house Negro way of thinking is being replaced. You know, Russia, China, Japan, no longer saying, okay, whatever you want to do, America, you can do. I mean, Mexicans, so-called Mexicans, you know, and a large number of African people all around the world are starting to replace that stuff. That's why they talking about now the critical race theory. People having a hard time. You know, people are claiming their nationalism, their identity, want this stuff. So they're replacing their white self. You know, all the people who used to start to say, you know, something like this.
Right.
You know,
So the critical race, when they first started talking about it, they talked about it that, well, it was only in law school. So do you remember it in law school?
No, hell no.
You don't even remember it?
No, we ain't
You didn't talk about it?
No, I can promise you that. I know we coming close to the end, but I just want to give people a little bit more, like just who Malcolm was, you know. It's Malcolm.
One of those old blue-eyed things had the nerve to, a couple of years ago, to go to Philadelphia and tell the Muslims, they said, Brother Malcolm is talking about white people and he's in New York living with a white woman. Imagine that. I told the brothers, next time the FBI come and tell you that, you tell them that if I'm in New York living with a white woman, it's his mother.
Yeah, that's the kind of dude Malcolm was. Malcolm was sharp. I mean, yeah, he was a Muslim, but he was about his people. He won with if you had some slick talk, he had slick talk back. And, you know, when you watch The Godfather of Harlem, if you do, and you see the way Malcolm had cats organized, look, there's stories about Muhammad Ali coming to New York and you know, having some kind of issues with the fact that the Jews wanted his money. Like, if he fight, you know, he wasn't going to get the paper that he thought he was supposed to get, the money he thought he was supposed to get. And, you know, Malcolm made it so that white people didn't touch Muhammad Ali's money. That's the stories on the streets about Malcolm. I wasn't there, but that's the stories on the streets about Malcolm. Malcolm made it so that when white people came through to perform in New York, the Sinatras and the whoever's, they had to stop by and drop off a little paper. They couldn't just come through there, you know. And so we have to organize ourselves, sisters and brothers, and, you know, be like Malcolm, be high-spirited, be quick-witted. But, you know, the only way you get high-spirited and quick-witted is to be well-read. I'm going to tell you that. So I don't care where you are, what you're reading, you know, get better today. You know, if you're the best reader, you know, keep reading. If you still learning, learn how to read. I mean, be like Brother Malcolm, you know. But Malcolm laid the foundation to help us know how to live beyond 39. I'm 47, and I live like Malcolm. And I'm happy to say it, proud to say it, but I also know how to keep, you know, obviously know how to live past 39. And I'm saying that we can do this thing, man. Nationalism, you know, be all right with being a field Negro. You know, don't let people preserve your life. I should have played that out because Malcolm said this. Preserve, huh? I can play it? All right, bet.
Religion. And then anybody, no one resents that kind of religion being taught but a wolf who intends to make you his. That's a good religion. Puts his hand on you, send him to the cemetery. In our book,
1 minute, 50 seconds.
As you call it, Koran, teaches us to suffer peacefully. Our religion teaches us to be intelligent, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hand on you, send him to the cemetery. That's a good religion. In fact, that's that old-time religion. That's the one that Ma and Pa used to talk about. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth, and a head for a head, and a life for a life. That's a good religion. And then anybody, no one resents that kind of religion being taught but a wolf who intends to make you his meal. This is the way it is with the white man in America. He's a wolf, and you a sheep. Anytime a shepherd, a pastor, teach you and me not to run from the white man, and at the same time teach us don't fight the white man. He's a traitor to you and me. Don't lay down our life all by itself. No. Preserve your life. It's the best thing you got. And if you got to give it up, let it be even Steven.
All right, y'all, this has been the Life Malcolm Show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, us kicking it with Malcolm a little bit. Hope you enjoyed kicking it with Malcolm a little bit on the Life Malcolm Show, man. We gonna get at you next week. And till then, to be continued.